Good morning and welcome to the Water and Sewage Facilities Authority regular meeting. It is June 21st, 2023 at approximately 8:30 a.m. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Gwen Flowers Taylor to deliver the invocation and member Cheryl Matlock to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Join me, please. Father, we come to you this morning in thanksgiving for all that you have given us. Thanking you for all that you've given this community and all that you will give this community. We ask you to be in this room today as we discern what is best for Spalding County Water Authority and the citizens of this community. These things we ask in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
If you'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies. I'd like to request at this time that you silence all electronic devices. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda or amend?
Mr. Chairman, there's an issue that's come up that we need to discuss, and I'm going to move that we amend the agenda to add that discussion. Under new business, a new item number 3, and the motion would be to amend, to add, discuss the new industrial development authority development opportunity at the South McDonough Road property.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
What was the motion again?
Say the motion again.
To add item number 3, to discuss the new industrial development authority opportunity out at South McDonough Road.
Okay. I will second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 2, 4, 6,
And then, Mr.
7.
Chairman, I move we accept the amended agenda.
I second that motion, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? What?
Number 3 under what?
New business.
New
Okay.
business. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Unanimous again, thank you. Citizen comments. Speakers must sign up prior to the meeting and provide their names, addresses, and the topics they wish to discuss. Speakers must direct your remarks to the authority and not to the individual members or the audience. Personal disagreements with individual members or county employees are not a matter of public concern, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. The chairman has the right to limit your comments in the interest of disposing of the authority's business in an efficient and respectful manner. Speakers will be allocated 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to matters pertinent to the jurisdiction of the authority. No questions will be asked by any of the members during citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during the meeting. No speaker will be permitted to speak more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the authority votes to suspend the rule.
Mr. Chairman, no one has signed up to speak this morning.
All right. Item number 6, minutes. Consider approval of the May 17th, 2023 regular scheduled meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Thank you. 7-0. Item number 2. Consider acceptance of the June 14th Joint Committee meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 7-0. Financial report. Consider acceptance of the financial report as presented by the general manager. At this time, General Manager.
So the customer summary report for June 2023, the total customers as of the end of May was 15,396. So one thing I want you to pay attention to is you see the residential component. That equates to roughly 92% of our customer base. So it's, in my opinion, based on the way our rate structures is presented right now, the customer base is negatively impacted. The residential customers are negatively impacted by, it's an unequitable distribution of water rates. So hence, your industrial and your municipal and your commercial customers usually have larger meters. Well, their base rate is $13.71, just like a small 5/8 inch meter. So this highlights the fact that I'm glad the board opted to fund the water rate analysis in FY '24. This is really going to come to a head. I think if we can diversify our customer base, I think it would benefit all the customers as a whole.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Joseph, what should that percentage, in what you would be satisfied with, what would that percentage look like to you?
I don't think there's a magic number. I think what I would be more interested in seeing is to ensure that the commercial and industrial customers pay their fair share regarding water rates and water bills. I don't, there's more, they use more water. They're stressing our system more than residential customers. So we're really heavy when it comes to the residential population, which is not bad. I mean, we're profitable when it comes to, we're able to pay our bills. It's just, it's tough when you look at the base rate of 1371 and it doesn't have a volumetric component. So that 1371, you just pay it based on that meter in the ground with an active service connection.
So, if I understand you correctly, we have the same rate for residential as we do for industrial.
Yes, ma'am.
So then, I guess the part that doesn't make sense to me is why do we call it something different if they're all paying the same amount?
Because we need to know the breakdown for our water audit. So I'm glad we classify, and honestly, we could probably get a little more specific. But these are the requirements per our water audit at the end of the year.
So if you'll indulge me, one more question, Mr. Chairman. So we're always talking about the rate. That's Wade from his seat all the way around to back there. Always talking about the customer rate. Why haven't we considered, and this is not a challenge to you, why haven't we considered looking at increasing the rates for our industrial and commercial customers as opposed to increasing the rate for residential? Why is that? I think in the past we've done it across the board, but if we know that those customers are costing us more?
I'm going to say this. We've never done a rate study here, and for several reasons, including you have to have capital fund and lots of things that this board had never had in the past. So this is just one of the many inequities in our rates. Commercial and for small users, there's a lot of problems, and that's why the rate study will hopefully sort this out. But we have a fouled up rate.
You never had the information that you needed to make a educated decision.
Okay.
That's the key point. That's the takeaway. We've never had that before. We've got to get there. But this is, once again, this is that transitional stuff from where we were to where we are. We're learning these things that we've got to be able to do and get the data to be able to do. So great questions. Yes, Cheryl.
Have we ever gotten our record straight with the city on industrial customers?
Yes, we're in the process of, so as of the end of May, we had 11 of the total roughly 90 locations transferred over to us. So it's a billing. So as they come on through the billing cycle, so we're keeping up with that, yes.
Okay.
Most municipalities, the more water you use, the more you get charged.
Correct.
It's a tiered rate system. Same thing with power. Once you exceed a certain kilowatts, you go to a higher rate. It's to conserve the resources, the intent of that. What exactly are you proposing here? It kind of sounds like there's a proposal in there. I'm trying to.
Oh, no. All I wanted to do was just highlight the fact that we're heavy in residential.
Yeah.
If you look at the revenue breakdown, so only 8% of our revenue comes from commercial. So, well, 14% comes from non-residential resources. So all I'm saying is there's a possibility that when we do the rate analysis, maybe the resident could have some type of volumetric component built into their rate structure, their base rate, where commercial maybe not.
Do fire suppression systems go through the millimeter, or they come off the force main?
There's two options. So it can be master metered through a fire
What's
line
our
meter.
policy?
Do what?
What's our policy?
We have an option. So a dedicated fire line meter, as long as there's a double detector check valve with a detector meter on it, that's sufficient. The only problem is that detector meter is typically not accurate. So the code that the city has that the county or the water authority by default adopts, if that detector meter shows flow 3 consecutive times in a 12-month cycle, they're required to go in and upgrade to a fire line meter, which is, I mean, an 8-inch fire line meter or 6-inch can be anywhere between $30,000 and $40,000. So we don't really, there's not a silver bullet for that, because there's some pros and cons with making a developer or a business owner go direct and say, you're going to put a fire line meter in, you're going to have to pull all your domestic and everything off that one line.
What do you think the average consumption of a warehouse as far as 500,000 square foot warehouse as far as water is?
Well, if we look at the commercial customer class that has a bunch of those in it, the average bill is 12,000 gallons a month.
At 7,
The bill is roughly $138 a month.
okay.
I think this is a microcosm of the county's economic problems at large. Homeowners are carrying the load because of a lack of commercial industrial customers and taxpayers, so the homeowners are carrying the load for everything. And our economic development plans, bringing business and industry, not only the water customers, but to the tax base, will lift the pressure from the homeowners. Would you not say that's the case, Steve?
Yes, I would.
I would say that's the case as long as the politicians don't spend the extra money. That's predicated, that's
I don't
a,
even know what you're talking about, because the politicians ain't got nothing to do with how we spend our money.
Let's
on
don't go
water
down that
authority.
road, Mr. Chairman.
well, I just,
Thank you.
we have this, we'll get extra money and it's gonna solve all our problems until it gets spent, then you have the same problems again.
Well,
The one thing I've noticed that packs a meeting is when someone wants to build a warehouse somewhere. That's the one thing I've noticed, and there's only one guy who's there who's for the warehouse, and the rest of the room is against the warehouse. So I get where people's complaining about their property tax bills, I get it, I understand, but at the same time, they don't want any development. So,
you can't have both ways.
that's right.
That's exactly right.
They're barista.
Yep, that's
And-
exactly right.
Until Santa Claus shows up.
He's not coming.
All right, let's move on. Any other questions on this part of the talk from the
Okay,
general
sorry about
manager?
that.
Anything else from you on this?
No, moving next to the water sales report. Year to date, we've sold 771 million gallons of water, which will put us, right now, a conservative estimate is roughly 5% above revenue projections to finish out the year.
Okay.
We're still sitting at 224 days in our reserve account.
Wow.
Are there any questions?
I got one.
Yes.
Okay.
Now you got me interested in. Institutional, I'm assuming schools, jails, things like that, right?
Yes.
What's their bills?
Do what?
What's their average bill?
So institutional, if you look at the customer summary report in the top right corner, your customer class average consumption, so that will give you per customer class. So industrial is roughly 40,000 gallons a month, which equates to $450.
Okay.
Municipal is 25,000 gallons a month, which equates to $277.
Okay.
And institutional is 18,000 at $204.
Institutional or industrial?
Institutional. So industrial is 40,000 gallons at $450 a month.
And institutional was what again?
18,000 at roughly $204 a month.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay, anything else on this, general manager?
That's
Just-
it.
Okay, I got one more question,
Okay.
so I'm just being honest. I don't understand why we have these three different categories of industrial, municipal, and institutional. What makes them so different? I mean, I know that in our zoning on the Board of Commissioners, we have these, but I mean, how do we define what these customers are for us?
So I will have to go back and get the AWWA classification, but institutional should be your hospitals, your schools.
Prisons,
Prisons could, yes, should be, yes. But I know, I think they're miscategorized in the city of Griffin's customer base, because I went and I actually fixed on our reporting side, they were showing as municipal, and they should be institutional. But it doesn't matter regarding the rate. It's when you break down the rate class per category, that's when it needs to be dead on for that category. But it's basically a definition.
so I'm saying I kinda understand industrial just because industrial park, but I know that can happen somewhere else. But what is municipal?
So municipal would be anything that's government-owned.
So the senior citizen center would be municipal for the county.
So, but what about the jail and the CI?
The CI should be the institutional. The jail should be institutional, I believe. But as Joseph indicated, we're going to go back and double check the AWA and their definition so that we can be extremely prudent with how we're creating these definitions for us as we put this information back in front of you.
I think it's very important
It is.
that we don't have any overlapping and that we have good definitions of what we're calling, because I literally did not know that there was just three categories.
Yeah, and it's going to be real easy to fix on our side, because there's no, since we have a consistent rate regardless of who you are, it doesn't really matter. So we need to definitely go through this and take a fine-tooth comb to it before we implement some new rate structure.
Okay,
Yep.
that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do I have,
You do not.
Motion to accept the water report, the manager's report.
Second.
all right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 7-0, thank you. Special committee reports, Finance and Planning Joint Committee meeting reports. Ms. Matlock and Mr. Morrow?
Yes. Dick deferred to me, so I'll tell you, I'll give you a brief summary. We discussed conditionally approving the amended budget that will be presented to the county commission. We discussed reducing the number of committee meetings to be held in future months. We discussed the possibility of investing the money that is on hand in our accounts, and the possibility of meeting with the city and the county commissioners to discuss the direction that our water system will follow.
Well, any questions on Ms. Matlock? Okay,
Is that just a report, not a recommendation?
yes,
Okay.
at this point, yes. All right, Mr. Morrow?
It's been covered.
Good, thank you.
Well, let me just add one amendment. By reducing our planning committee to every other month, we feel like Joseph has lots of plans we've already created to work on, and we don't have any big issues at the moment that aren't in the planning, except we know that the sewer report's coming, and so our next meeting will be based on when the sewer study is out to tackle that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is the final thought process on that? I was late.
Every other month, unless we have to have some in
For
between.
planning.
For plan.
Same for finance.
And
We decided
finance.
it was easier to plan every other month, and if we need to have a called meeting, we can do that, but it was easier to do that than have one scheduled and cancel it.
Okay.
Well, and there is an opportunity that if we stagger the meetings, so if we do finance, say, in August, planning in September, in the event that we cancel the finance, but something comes up, we can do a joint meeting the following month.
Okay.
For the staff, it's all set up that every month they have.
We've climbed over a pretty big pile of stuff to
Whoop.
talk about.
Yeah, we have.
Yes, we have. And let me, at this point, say, we're gonna have a whole bunch of decisions we're gonna make here in the next 3 months. We're gonna get into the water, and we're gonna have to chart, okay, if we decide we're gonna go forward in the water, that's a yes block. What are we gonna do next? Those are big decisions that we're gonna have to come up with, so I'm hoping everybody is spending their time processing the information that's gonna come out. What are we gonna do if we say yes to sewer or no to sewer? And then it's getting ready to be here. We'll probably have that decision in the September timeframe, I think. We'll have the draft in August and then the final in September, and right after that, we're gonna be making what is really the strategic decision for years and years and years to come. And I'm hoping everybody is thinking through that. What do we wanna do?
We're cocked and loaded, we're ready.
Yeah. Yes.
You can see everybody's lined up here at the line.
Okay. Where am I now? General Manager's report. All right. All right, are we at 10, new business?
We're at 9.
We're at 9.
9, excuse me. Consider acceptance of the General Manager's report as presented by the General Manager.
So the non-revenue water for the current fiscal year is a total of 18 million gallons of water, which equates to $25,000 put on the ground. Nothing out of the norm when it comes to looking at the trends. The water meter sales report, as kind of envisioned last month, we were definitely over our budget expectations, so we've sold 113% of the meters that we budgeted. So everything, it does not look like anything's slowing down anytime soon. The fire hydrant maintenance report. So we're averaging 147 touches per month. So obviously that's less than the required 266 touches a month. So let me tell you some operational efficiencies that we're kind of working through right now. So after looking at kind of the classifications that our fire hydrant maintenance team is classifying their work in, I'm seeing a gain of roughly 15 to 17% of more productivity just by simple changes of offloading some of the tasks that Mr. Ballard and Mr. Elliott were doing to other staff that are more prepared to handle those. And then there's a couple of activities that we think can be given to the fire department for maintenance. So like painting fire hydrants. It takes roughly 20, 30, maybe 45 minutes to paint a fire hydrant. Well, the fire department, after talking to the chiefs, they have a fire brigade that they brought on that's utilizing prison inmates. And they think that would be a great opportunity for them to go and help maintain the fire hydrants by painting them. So that would save us a significant amount of time. I don't have that exact percentage, but I think it's going to be pretty significant. And then,
Question.
yes.
Okay, I remember the prison firefighter agreement we made with the CI. How can those officers come and provide a service to the water authority without some agreement from the county to do that?
Yes, ma'am, that's going to be a part of the indirect cost study that's currently going on. Did have a conversation with a consultant this week, and he's looking to have that completed before our next meeting next month so that we can start that conversation. There is an upside to these individuals doing the painting of the fire hydrants. They need to know where the fire hydrants are, so it's more of a part of their training to understand where to look, how to manage the fire hydrants. So in the interim between now and the time we get the indirect study, we're using it for training purposes for those individuals. But you're absolutely right, there is a need for us to have that discussion around the indirect cost.
Well, I'm not necessarily just even discussing the indirect costs. I'm just saying that you're taking county resources and the water authority will be using them. This is a problem I have with people switching stuff over and not billing. And I just feel like if we're gonna do it, which clearly we are, there needs to be permission from the Board of Commissioners that those inmates under that program can provide that service to us at the water authority.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I will make the point, the reason why we're trying to touch every hydrant in a 12-month period is not for a water authority objective, it's for the ISO rating for the fire department, which ultimately benefits the residences of Spalding County, by their tax rate.
I get all that,
Yeah.
but us saying it here doesn't make it legal until there's an agreement that we know as a water authority, it's not gonna cost us, or maybe it is gonna cost us to have that particular work done. And I know the fire department has their own budget. I'm just saying, let's not we want our stuff to be separate.
Would
and
it technically
legal.
be an agreement with us or with the fire department?
Well, with the fire department being part of the county, I think it's going to be a,
It would be between the authority and the county.
In the county.
All right, and those are, this is all part of that separation of powers, making sure we're doing it. And it's very close on some of this stuff because of how the people, and we've always done it before. So this is those kinds of thoughts that we have to work our way through and say, all right, hold it, that requires the Board of Commissioners to say yes to that. The authority can't just decide to do that.
I just
And-
didn't know whose responsibility it was to paint them, the fire department or the authority.
Yeah, I mean, we literally bought a lot of them. Well, now we gotta paint them, pay to paint them too.
That's
I
interesting.
don't care if they stay painted or not.
But the fire department pays for the hydrants already, right?
We do.
No, we
We
did.
bought a lot of
We
them.
did.
so
Remember, we
any,
put in money every
so
year
any
to
new-
pay for 'em?
Right, but in real life, the fire department is supposed to be
That's
paying
correct.
for it.
They're
because
supposed to, but they didn't.
Okay, so, but that is the thing. They need to be paying for their stuff.
Right,
We need
last
to stop
year,
paying
this
for other
authority
people's
made the decision to stop paying for the hydrants. and
That's
the
right,
fire
we made that.
department is
That's
paying
what I'm
for the
saying.
hydrants.
So in the past, I knew we were buying them, but now it is their responsibility. So I'm also thinking the cost of painting, all the services around that should be charged back to the fire department, thus the county.
We
That's
have to-
just the devil's in the details.
That's correct.
We have to think through that all the time. That's part of what we're trying to do. So everybody, please keep thinking through that. Is this an authority? Is this a county business? We've got to keep that, and we're trying to get further and further so the delineation is understood by all of us. So please don't ever hesitate to say, oh, I don't think that's us, or is that us?
That's why I asked my question. I
yep,
don't think
yep.
that's us.
Yep, that's what we need to do. So thank you. All right.
So as I told y'all before, before we bring forth any additional operational changes, we're trying to figure out how we can effectively manage the fire hydrant maintenance part, and anything that we can possibly shed, we're gonna try to do that to be, to get the touches that we need at the most economical cost. So we're still in the process of trying to fine tune our process. But just to highlight the change over the last 6 months versus the first 5 months of 2023, we've increased productivity roughly 48%. So we're doing something.
Okay,
We believe.
yes. Press on.
Going to the projects. So we had the conflict attorney RFQ, and the ranks are provided there below. As you see, there was a overwhelmingly, everybody was there was a consensus on Heck, Walker, Jordan, PC. So you'll be asked later to recommend going in and retaining them as a conflict attorney. The plant number 1 demolition, we're still waiting for our official.
I just want to say, thank you for the people that sat on that board and did the hard work of going through and evaluating and turning your data in. We appreciate that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go into the feasibility study. I have a call with Rebecca this afternoon, but everything is on schedule for the draft report in August with the final report in September. Plant number 1, we're still waiting for our official letter from the state terminating the MPDS permit. All the construction activities are complete. The Dundee Mills Phase 2 sewer project, we're roughly 57% complete on installation of the sewer. And the Flint River Bridge main relocation project, we have, all the easements have been negotiated and closings are starting as of Friday. So this project should start moving, I would think, mid-July. Yes, sir.
There's 5 easements total.
Yes.
We're halfway there.
750,000. Go ahead.
From
All
the
right.
pipe, yeah.
And just some things that are on the horizon from planning development. There's a Wallace Road development that is in rezoning process. And if I'm not mistaken, we are meeting Friday to discuss that with Butts County, with Spalding County. And then the construction, there's one plan in the plan review queue, the Meadows at Heron Bay. So that would be the development between Grayson Park and Heron Bay that kind of ties it all together. And then there are a couple of projects that are currently in the land disturbance phase that our team is actively engaged in inspections. Are there any questions?
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any more discussion?
May I ask one question?
Yes, please.
Dundee Plant 1, construction's complete, awaiting the letter to relieve us of the permit.
Yep.
Last we heard, the county is going to want that property for a park. Is that still, or for whatever reason, is that still in the works?
It's still in discussion, yes, sir.
I think it was if we give it to them, they'll take it. I think that was the discussion.
Well, I don't want us to mow the grass. So you'll let us know and
Yes.
prepare the paperwork if we're, okay.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 7-0, motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, new business. Consider conditional approval of the amendment of the FY24 budget pending final approval from the Board of Commissioners.
That's Cheryl's thing.
Yes, if you notice, there was an increase in the final number. I think it was $82,768.11. We discussed this at the last meeting. So we present that to you for your approval to be presented to the county commissioners.
Is that a motion? If it is, I second it.
Yes,
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
This is on what now?
on that budget that we discussed,
Oh, the budget amendment?
yes,
Conditional approval.
for conditional approval.
Okay.
Okay, which is going to happen pretty soon. All right, any more discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 7. Ms. Quinn, did you?
I did vote.
Okay, I'm sorry, I could not see. Thank you. All right, item number 2, consider approval to retain Heck Walker Jordan PC as the Water Authority's conflict attorney. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
You going to discussion? How much are they charging us an hour whenever we have to let them work?
I don't have the proposal with me, but I want to think it's north of $400 an hour.
About $450 an hour. But compared to the other attorneys, when they threw in all their extra fees and all that for copies and mileage and travel and all that, they were basically a flat fee. And they were fairly comparable.
That is if
You should have
the,
gone for attorney instead of
I
commissioner.
can't even get that to come out of my mouth. $450 an hour?
Look at-
Okay.
look at- Look at David over there smiling.
I wish I could get it to come out of my mouth too.
I mean,
Yes.
That's the world
can't we
today.
just get an internet attorney? I mean, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
I offered him $100.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
You do, you've got Wayne.
I'm,
We gotta say,
okay. Any more discussion? I'm sorry. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 7. Motion approved. This is another one of these big, huge strategic decisions that we're making. This is going to tell us a whole bunch of stuff on what our real sandbox looks like versus other people's sandbox. So this is, yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead, finish. I got.
No, just want to make sure
We got the
everybody's,
agreement from, I can't, I'm the
the signed resolution from
Yes. Have you
Minerva?
got that yet?
No.
Okay. I'm sorry.
okay. Item number 3 is the new item.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to refresh everybody's memory. We've talked about a development, warehouse, commercial industrial development on Highway 16 out near McDonough Road. To bring everybody's memory back up, the Lakes of Green Valley Industrial Park is being sewered by the city with an agreement with the industrial authority. This property adjoins that to the east, so it's the next property going east. The city's sewer in the industrial park ends at the property line, and this property is on our side of the line in our service area. Now, the developers of this, the county has approved the zoning and everything's set to move ahead, but they are clearing the land, and then they're stuck until they have an agreement on how to get sewer. So everything's on hold pretty quick here. Well, they're in our service district on our side of the line, but we don't have sewer available for them. The city has a manhole on their side of the line that's usable as sewer. So, how do we settle this and come up with a solution? That's what we're saying here. Joseph has come up with, I thought, a clever idea to sort of solve the problem, and I'm gonna let him tell you about it, his proposals.
So the county manager, Mr. Lucky, Mr. Reese, and myself met last Wednesday on the 14th to discuss this 200-acre tract of land that abuts the Lakes at Green Valley.
Can we pull that up on Q Public just so we can see where it is?
It's right where the tornado
Yes.
crossed at.
Yeah.
Right where the tornado crossed.
Right where the logging trucks can't wash their tires off and leave 2 inches of mud on the road, right there.
Yeah. If you,
At McDonough Road?
South McDonough Road.
Wild Plum and 16.
It's right where the tornado was.
It's on the left or the right side of McDonough Road?
It's, so if South
On
McDonough
South McDonough
Road,
Road.
it's going to be on the left side if you're going towards 16.
If you're heading towards Orchard Hill, it's gonna be on the right. It's right there on the corner.
It's on the
the
west
corner
side
there.
of McDonough Road.
Okay, in my brain, I'm kind of seeing it.
Well, while Charlie brings this up, I reminded Mr. Lucky that the Water Authority has a sewer feasibility study that's looking at that corridor for sewer, and I know it's the consensus of the board to, at this point, not really give up service area while we're looking at a sewer solution. So I threw out the idea, maybe there's a possibility to coordinate with the city of Griffin to see if they would be willing to temporarily provide sewer with the understanding that once sewer is available and provided in our area, that we could get the customer back. These are preliminary. We haven't even spoke with the city of Griffin yet, but that's just an opportunity. Going back to the customer base and looking at that residential component, and with Mr. Morrow making the connection with the county's overall plan with taxes, we understand the need. Obviously, we see there's a need for it because we're doing a sewer feasibility study. David Lucky said that the developer's they're on hold, and they're ready to start building, and they would literally start commencing within, I would assume they would submit the land disturbance civil plans as soon as we gave them an opportunity for sewer. So I come to you to bring this to you. Should I continue engaging with the city to see if there's a temporary solution that could be provided?
Let me fill that just a little bit. The Industrial Authority is in favor of this. They've worked for this project, so it's on their plate and they want it to go ahead. The county has zoned it and basically given approval to move it ahead with it. So obviously it appears that the county wants this to go. And it's stopped. So since the city has sewer up to the property, as I see it, the developer could pay to run the line over and connect to the city's sewer on his dime, so it doesn't cost the city any money, basically. They pick up a temporary customer, and at such time then, as we develop our own sewer facility out there, we could connect them to our sewer, and again, it's no cost to the city, but they get a customer in the interim, so the project moves ahead. City has a customer until we can develop our sewer, then it'll be ours. So it seems to me like everybody wins out of this with this sort of a partnership arrangement.
Two questions. Did you say you have or have not been in discussion with the city on that?
I have not. This is the first.
And whose water customer would this be?
That would be ours,
Okay, but it would.
unless they met the metric of 100,000 gallons a day.
Correct, which is doubtful that they would.
Correct.
Be in a warehouse. That's
Correct.
So we'd be our water customer, the city of Griffin's wastewater customer.
And this
Correct.
is not giving up our area. Let's
No.
make sure. That's the overriding,
That's right. We
Issue.
keep our service area, and the city has a customer, which if I was on the city side, I'd say, great, we'll take the customer because it doesn't cost us money to run sewer to them. It's already there. We just
Yep.
have a
I
customer.
think it's a win-win. as
It could
far
be
as-
several years before we have sewer available ourselves. Meantime, it's a win for everybody else. Is that
Okay,
the way everybody sees it?
huh? How what?
How was it
It was just
approved?
zoning. It was just zoning was approved.
Just zoning?
Zoning, yes.
So they didn't address sewer or septic or anything in the zoning approval?
Was this the one that we had spoke about before, needing sewer versus
Septic.
a septic?
It was one of them, yes.
Yes.
So there was there were multiple projects. I think the specific one we were discussing possibly was the Tomachichi property.
Right, that's the one that has to provide their own septic at this time because sewer is not
Correct.
available.
Correct.
Has to do with their lender.
Correct,
bonding
with the
or something like
financing.
that.
Yes.
So
The
our,
developer bought the land, the developer's pulping the land. This is up, developer selling the trees on the land right now. And then they stop. They're gonna sell it to a builder, or are they actually gonna build the property too?
They're gonna build it.
I'm under the impression they're gonna build it.
Okay, well, how did it get approved? How did they submit
So it's
site plans
the,
already when
so
they
it's
say
the,
approved?
remember, this is the AKB corridor.
Right.
So they went through the rezoning, and as long as it meets the AKB corridor requirements, they're able to get it rezoned.
They had to be green.
Zoning comes before the site plan.
Okay. So that's all I got, is zoning, so they're not actually ready to build until they.
so
They have
Actually,
plans developed.
Yeah, according to Mr. Lucky, they are ready to move forward. They are in need of a sewer solution in order to move forward with the project.
So we amended the agenda today to discuss this, not because we need anything formal, but what we're looking for is a consensus of the board to let Joseph
Go forward.
Brandon start talking and see if we can work out something that works for both sides.
Yeah.
All sides, there's 4 sides, actually.
All right, anybody have any real objections to what, allowing the general manager to make contact with the city and see if this is all doable? Okay, nothing heard? You have your guidance?
Okay.
The one issue is, we're not giving up the, okay,
Not permanently.
not
temporary.
permanently, yes, correct.
So
Okay,
if the city were to agree to provide a sewer for that tract of land. How do we know that they have the capacity for it? Has anybody checked for that?
So that would
Because I
fall
was
under the
thinking that that's the
Potato,
Cabin Creek,
no, that's Potato Creek.
okay, Potato Creek.
And they have capacity for it.
And I believe all Joseph really wants is, do I go talk to him? Do I have your backing to go talk to him to start this conversation? He'll come back with us and say to us, here's what they say, here's how it's gonna work, here's what it's gonna cost and everything else. Okay?
If the developer builds the infrastructure, does the developer have to turn the infrastructure over to the city in order to use, like, the lines? Who will those lines belong to then?
So that's what we'll work with, and what it would be our recommendation, what they would do is keep them private, where they would actually, the developer would own and maintain up to the service where it goes over to the lakes of Green Valley. That's where it would become city property or city infrastructure.
This is a 500,000 and 200,000 square foot warehouse, right? Roughly 700,000, 2 buildings.
I think it's supposed to be 3 buildings.
I thought it was 3 too, but,
Yeah, it's, the total square footage for both properties here on the west and the east side of, South McDonough is
Just this tract.
4.3 million square feet.
Just this tract, what are we?
About half of that.
2
So
or
you've
3
got about
buildings.
2 million square feet of space in this location.
2 or 3 buildings, though.
Correct.
Well, back to our earlier discussion, this is a move to lift some of the load off of the homeowners. We're moving ahead with some
and
business
truly
property.
find a solution to do something with. I mean, this is an innovative solution to say, hey, let's get them going right now. We can do this, we can make this, we may be able to make this temporary work. If we can make this temporary work, then everybody, as Dick said, everybody wins and we move forward. Okay? All right, you all square with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, item number 11, other business. Ad hoc committee appointments for evaluation and selection of the 24 CDBG grant writer, grant administrator, and engineering professional services. Now, this is for an RFP, as I remember. And the question really for us is, do we want to have people on, do we want to tell the staff, go ahead and evaluate and come back to us with who should be the grant writer and all that stuff? Or do we want to have people go through the process of evaluating who should be the grant writer? I'm fine with, just so everybody knows, I'm fine with the staff doing this for a grant writer.
I'll second and
Do you
second
feel
that
comfortable
motion.
with that, or do you want the committee with you?
We're gonna have a scoring metric and matrix, so I think if we do a staff, we'll get some internal, staff members, and we could possibly, get outside, see if Brandon Lewis with the city of Griffin would wanna entertain reading some as well.
Okay. Well, if you do end up committee, I'd like to be on as part of the planning committee, but if we don't have to do it, that's fine too.
Okay, I mean, I don't have a problem. I don't think this is not like some of the other things where we're making big evaluation. This is for an RFP for a grant writer.
Yeah.
So,
My question is, what's wrong with the people who's done our CDBG grants in the past? They've been successful.
By DCA's requirement, you have to go through an RFP process anytime state and federal funds are expunged.
So, I mean, for the first, for the other phase, we did an RFP. Now we need to do another RFP for grant, I mean, I guess I'm confused because I don't.
Each project has to have a specific procurement process that's followed. So in the event that we didn't do this RFP and we said, well, we already have a grant team and engineer that already delivered CDBG FY21 Dundee Mills. If we were awarded a project and they came back and looked at the procurement process and that we didn't, we just selected the last one that was used, the county could forego the match, ultimately putting the water authority on hook for that, to cover the match.
I just hate it when you have to follow the rules.
It costs them.
Well, yeah, it makes the project cost twice as much
Yeah.
as it should.
So
Did you
We're
really?
gonna follow the rules.
okay, You understand?
So grant writer, grant administrator, and engineering are separate things or
So-
all?
Grant writing, grant administration. So grant writing is going to be the first RFP that says if the project is awarded, then grant administration
Well-
will follow. Engineering will be, you're going to do the preliminary engineering report. If the grant is awarded, then we will go into final design and construction management.
So is this engineering stuff more than what your skill level and our new other engineer is?
Yes,
that-
we do not have the staff to do in-house engineering and develop a plan with construction documents.
Okay. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so the end answer is, you've got it. If you need one of us, you come back and tell us you need a person or whatever you need to be able to do that. We all-
Excuse
all
me,
right.
question. Is there a separate RFP for each of these, or is this one?
So there's going to be, there's total of two. So grant writing, grant administration will be one, and then engineering services will be two.
All right, thank you.
And right now, the advertisement date is shown to be July 8th, with the proposals due back on August 3rd.
If you just pass on to us when things are meeting.
Will do.
In case somebody wants to sit in and watch.
Okay?
All right. Item number 2, the next regular scheduled meeting will be held on July 19th, 2023 at 8:30 in room 108 Courthouse Annex Building. All right. Secretary of Treasurer's comments?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Ms. Gwynn?
I was trying to look up on Q Public. We discussed this in the committee meeting. I think it's important for us to task our secretary or whatever you want to call Steve, to find out why our property that's out in western Spalding County that was originally supposed to be the reservoir property is being listed as a property belonging to Spalding County. I think in the process of those years where management switched over, somehow that has done, but I think officially, either as a board, we should ask the commissioners to put that property back in our name, because I don't actually ever recall as a board of commissioners that we voted to take that property. And I mean, how could we take it from the water
I
authority?
think originally the county bought it, the commission bought it, back when they were running things.
Yeah, but they bought it for the water authority.
Well,
Yeah. So I wanted, because when I first came on, that was, we were gonna build a reservoir. So now I'm just trying to figure out, okay, is that our asset or is that the county's asset? And so if it is our asset, I think it's important for us to know, because going down the road, we may want to do something with it.
When you were, the ownership, is that based off of what Q Public said for the owner of the property? Just, that can sometimes be incorrect, and it could be that the county is listed for the purpose of taxation, but the actual owner of the property may be the water authority. So
I
it'll
think
take,
that's an easy find that
We
Steve
got this.
Steve can
Right.
find it out almost easily, okay?
Yeah, that would just be my concern going forward.
So where is that property? How much property is it?
It's on the Flint River.
It's 50 acres or something like
Yeah,
that?
it's roughly, it was enough to build a water plant.
So, I think that was the initial goal when they did it. So, if it is our asset, let us put that in our list of things that we need to switch over back to us. That's all I had.
Okay. Ms. Wanda?
Wanda, you have any comments?
Wanda, you got anything, darling? Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, thank you. That-
Jeff?
No comment.
Ms. Cheryl?
No, thank you.
Vice Chair?
I do. When you're talking to Brandon about the sewer thing, I'd be leery of impact fees. They're gonna want the capacity recovery fee, if I had to guess.
What'd you say, Wayne? I couldn't hear you.
Capacity.
Twice.
Wait,
Be leery of impact fees like capacity
Oh,
recovery.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
The city of Griffin's probably gonna want their capacity recovery fees, and I don't see a developer paying that twice, so I would just keep that in your back pocket and,
Duly noted.
you know.
Okay. That's the kind of stuff he's got to go find out, come back to us and say, hey, and we say yes or no.
We don't want to give someone a temporary access, then pay all the fees to Griffin, and we go back, because we're going to need that to offset the cost of whatever we do.
Correct.
Okay?
The other thing I had was, well, I'll talk to you offline about the rate thing. I was just looking at the numbers.
Well, they won't have stormwater there, will they?
We don't do stormwater.
They,
Impact recovery is for stormwater, isn't it, primarily?
No.
Capacity
No,
recovery for
Capacity recovery, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I mixed those two up.
Yep.
That's my fault. It's
Okay.
capacity recovery. That's all I got.
Okay. While we're talking about things, this is going to be a big step if we decide yes on the PERT chart for sewer. This is a big step for, there's things that are starting to move along on utilities and everything else for us. So please think there's more than just the decision on sewer. Yes, no, that's going to step into a whole new ballgame for us on how it's done and everything else. Who's mailing, how do we do all that stuff?
Mr. Chairman, we, at the joint meeting, we talked a good bit about the importance of making arrangements, not just for our annual meeting, but for getting the Development Authority, our board, Board of Commissioners, Planning and Zoning, or whoever, together to talk about the potential that we talked about as far as sewer and annexation in Sonoy, and maybe even on the north side. I did talk to my daughter, who is on the Board of Commissioners, and she did not know that, just like I did, that another city from another county could actually annex. Yeah. So yeah. So my thought is that we talked about that, but we need to talk about making an opportunity for everybody to put their stuff on the table, and let's see what it shakes out.
Amen.
That's,
Yeah. What,
I looked a little bit at annexation, and I'm not claiming I understand it, but there's, I guess, two ways to annex property. There was a stipulation I read, and I may have misunderstood it. If a municipality or a city that is wholly or in part of a county with more than 100,000 residents, they cannot annex additional land, and that was under one form of annexation.
I don't,
So, if they were to attempt to do something, how would they go about doing it?
That's a great question. It would be a discussion for our attorneys that we will take back to them. We've had initial conversations, and I would ask that you give staff time to do a little bit more review.
Because you had also talked about an exclusion zone or something that you all have already done one time before, and I wanted to talk to you. We can do it offline. I want to understand the process.
Right.
Well,
Thank
one-
you.
One of the things we brought up in the joint meeting was to have a meeting scheduled when everything is
Yep.
discussed and ready between the city commissioners, and to impress upon them the importance of this meeting and to be there, and the county commissioners and us.
Yes, you had cat herder.
yes. We're, as soon as we know, the staff's got to know a little bit more to be able to bring this meeting together. Our intent is to be able to bring this meeting all together and have everybody there to be able to talk through some of the issues that right now we're not ready to talk about. So, yes, we understand that. Staff's working hard to get the information so that when we all get together, the key issues can be addressed. So there is that. Don't forget, we also have a second meeting, biannual meeting that required from our contract.
That could
to-
be this.
To
That
be
could
at the
be it.
same time. And my thought is, everybody plays in what we're talking about, especially after the decision in September on sewer. So we could have a big meeting and count it as our second meeting.
I thought was doing it in October possibly.
Yes, that's.
But like I said, impress upon them the importance of being there.
Our general manager is working that, yes, ma'am.
Yes, we're all trying to get that to happen, yes.
I forgot one thing I should know. I announced at the joint meeting that I've been told that the city has joined, or has signed a letter of intent with EPD to move ahead with converting the Shoal Creek sewer plant to a direct discharge back to Flint River, and in the process, increase the capacity with some new technology and this change. So that would open up, within the next couple of years or so, a whole new sewer capacity sitting on our west side, which is going to dramatically affect what happens west of the city, and which is the county. I don't know if you've been informed of this and know about this, probably have, but all of a sudden there'll be sewer out there that we hadn't planned on, and that's gonna be a major planning change, in my opinion.
Well, absolutely agree. Okay. Anything from the attorney?
Just to echo what Steve said, we're working on the annexation question and preparing guidance for the board.
Yeah, I'd just like to, I know Henier County annexed part of Butts County for a reservoir at one time and started a small civil war down there. And Butts County lost in court, but I was just kind of wanting to know how the process works. I think there's two different ways to go about it, and I just kind of wanted to know. I want to make sure I understood.
There are multiple different avenues that are all applicable in different situations, so we're going to be sorting through all that.
Charlie?
Let me just say the easy way, and I've done this, is as a property owner and you're adjacent to the city, you could ask individually for annexation on your property. And I think what's happening on the west side is there is a property owner that owns a huge chunk of property, which he could just simply go and ask for annexation himself. You don't need to go through other folks. And so if that property owner wants to bring a big chunk into the city, it's relatively simple.
We'll have to discuss that further. The county line presents a problem that a single property owner would not be able to annex across the county line.
Okay, so that
so-
changes the single property thing, huh?
Yeah, it does.
All right.
So
Good to know.
we'll have some guidance forthcoming.
Thank you.
All right, DeAndre, anything? Okay, anything from you, General Manager?
I do. We received a call from Mr. Robert Herron, who lives at 33 Hope Drive in Griffin, and he wanted to discuss some issues that he's having regarding his bill date.
What address?
33 Hope Drive.
Hope, H-O-P-E?
Yes. He said that he and his wife are on fixed income, and their bill is at the first of the month, and they don't receive their Social Security distribution until right after that. So they're paying a late fee every month. So he said that he spoke with the city, and they're not willing to change the bill date. And I know the reason why they can't change the bill date because we don't have AMI meters. We have drive-by meters. So thinking through the opportunities that we have to address some needs that this is probably not the only customer that is in this situation. We're putting together some options that we're going to present to the city to see if we can possibly change some meter registers to cellular, where now these customers have the opportunity to get their bill date changed, because now they'll be able to read that meter via cellular SIM card.
So, I'm trying to look who should have been here. Several years ago, when the city was on this side of the street, there was a big issue with the water bills and whatever else. And they created, because there were these same problems, they had created a billing cycle, several billing cycles, so that people who did not get their check until the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th were able to be billed differently.
Correct.
So the first thing for me is that we need to find out if that is still intact.
It is intact.
So if you're doing it for citizens within the city, there should not be a reason why we can't help change the billing cycle for people who are
Correct. The
our
hurdle,
customers.
the challenge that we're going to present to the city is, if the reason why they can do it so easily is all it is somebody managing a database on the back end, where you're a customer and you come in for a service and you want to go to the 15th of the month. They go and they put your account under the 15th, and the computer process reads and establishes yours. Our meters, somebody physically has to go drive that route. So the reason why the city would never give that opportunity to our customers is because now they would have individual people going to read one meter on one route on that day.
Joseph, do they have some AMI meters out in the county, though? Or is it
They,
just limited?
they do. There is, I don't know if I could get the topography or that map, that,
Do you understand what he's saying?
there's
They're
a,
read
The
automatically.
city meters are read automatically, you can change it.
So nobody has to physically
No.
show up to do that?
no, it's
But in
all,
the county, they drive down the road and the.
Like they
equipment-
did initially in the city?
That's
correct.
right.
And when you do it manually, they're in a route, so they don't break them up and do one here and do one here.
Right,
They
you
do
have to
all
go
of
in
them
that area.
General area, right.
So cellular meters were not a real thing back when this discussion was had years ago. Cellular meters are now, the technology's better, and they have more, they're more consistent.
Better
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna meet with Brandon and see if we can, the difference in price
Yeah, I'm
is
saying, why can't we
$30
look at that?
$30 for the MIU, so it's really not a big thing.
I mean, we should, I'm just saying this, if that is going to make the billing for our customers easier and allow us to be able to do things that better serve our customers, even if it's $30 per customer, that's an investment on our end.
Correct, and the reason why I haven't brought anything to the board yet is, we have that test pilot program that we're doing in FY '24 to see how accurate our meter bases are. Well, if it comes to find out that we have to do a mass meter changeout, we're gonna present this as a possibility of a conservation project, a GFA, to get some preferred lending where we can go and provide that value to our customer.
What's the monthly fee for the meter? Because I know cellular's just not free.
It's it's built into the meter cost.
Yeah, it's pretty low cost for that kind of data.
Correct.
Yeah.
I would, and this is just in the weeds, I would be interested to know, and I don't know how we could do that, how many of our customers every month have to pay a late fee?
I can
And
tell you, on average, we have roughly 900 people that underpay their bills.
So, and we don't know that that's because their
Correct.
money doesn't come, but if it's 100 people.
Correct.
It's still a big deal.
So what I'm thinking is, we get a application that is sent out, and we can work with the city, where in the event that there's people, that they could request these specific meters, if these meters would work for them, now they could get the opportunity to have their bill date selected.
So is there some criteria or a process in place with the city's customers and that we would also do to limit who gets this based on this limited situation?
I think right now,
versus
with
just,
the
hey, I want
city.
my bill on this month. because-
Correct. I think the City of Griffin customer service would be the best gauge of that right now. We could really run our report, and based on that 900 customers on average, we can figure out with the city, okay, well, do you know anything? Is there an underlying circumstance that you know about, or do we need to send a survey? But I'm afraid to do anything in mass scale, because as soon as one person gets it,
You don't want to do that.
and we're gonna have to do it for everybody, and we're just not ready yet.
It's a good thing for us to do in the future.
Yes,
Okay.
Good to do. Okay, anything else from you?
that's it.
All right, let's remember that Cheryl's leaving. If we haven't got to watch out and told her eyes are heavy and she's gonna stay, that we're gonna need to replace her. Remember, we want to be instrumental in getting information to the county board on who should do that. So all of us should be looking and thinking about the replacement for Cheryl and getting that information to me or to Steve to be able to set that up.
And I'd like to ask you to consider it being a water customer. I think a customer would be the ideal person because they have skin in the game.
Oh, good point, okay.
Yep.
So, everybody, please be thinking about that. We want to be pushing this noodle instead of just having it done to us. All right, anything else, last minute? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a second.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 7-0, we're adjourned. Thank you. Turn the mics off, please.